Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to jump right in today with Fennec Pharmaceuticals. It's a company with this incredible growth story, and that story is all about solving a really devastating trade-off that sits right at the heart of cancer treatment.
Okay, so to really get what's happening here, we're not going to start with the financials, the balance sheets. Nope, we have to start with the human cost, the thing that's at the very core of what Fennec does.
Just think about that for a second. Imagine you've beaten cancer, but the cure itself leaves you with a permanent, life-altering disability. That's not a hypothetical. It is the brutal reality for so many patients who are treated with cisplatin, which is one of the most powerful chemo drugs out there.
Right, so this condition has a name, cisplatin-induced ototoxicity. Basically, it's permanent, irreversible hearing loss, and it can just totally change a cancer survivor's life, how they connect with people, their future, all of this, long after the cancer itself is gone. And listen, this is not some rare thing we're talking about. The problem is massive. For some types of cancer, we're looking at as many as 80% of survivors. That's 4 out of every 5 people being left with this. It is a huge, huge unmet need in the world of oncology. So that's the problem. And right in the middle of this is Fennec Pharmaceuticals. They have a drug called PEDMARK, and it's designed to do one thing: prevent this exact hearing loss. And they just had an absolutely game-changing year.
The CEO, Jeff Hackman, he didn't beat around the bush at all. He called 2025 transformational. So that's the big question, right? What does a transformational year actually look like when you break down the numbers?
Okay, first up, a record-shattering $44.6 million. That's what Fennec pulled in for net product sales of PEDMARK for the whole year.
But check this out. What's even more impressive is how fast they're accelerating. In just the fourth quarter, sales shot up by 75% compared to the year before. That's not just growth, That is some serious, serious momentum.
And you can really see that jump right here. Look at that. Going from just under 30 million to almost 45 million in only 12 months. That's a textbook picture of a company that is absolutely hitting its stride.
So you've got to be asking, how did they pull this off? Well, it definitely wasn't by accident. Their success comes down to a really clear 3-part strategy. And it's a strategy that tackles the big challenges you face when you're trying to bring a new drug to market. All right, let's break these 3 pillars down. Number 1, they expanded their commercial team, basically getting the drug in front of way more doctors. 2, they just built this mountain of medical evidence to make clinicians feel confident using it. And 3, they created a really solid patient support system to make sure that if a doctor prescribes it, the patient can actually get it. Okay, that second pillar, the medical evidence, that one is so critical. Because think about it, the biggest question any oncologist is going to have is, hey, is this going to mess with my patient's cure? And Fennec has just tackled this head-on. They have long-term data from big clinical trials showing that PEDMARK saves hearing without interfering with the chemo. And that reassurance, it's changing minds. And then there's pillar number 3, their Fennec Hears program, which has been a huge win. By helping patients deal with all the insurance headaches and access issues, they saw the number of prescriptions that turn into actual treatments jump from 50% all the way to 70% in just 1 year. They're pretty much just removing all the friction from the process.
So while all of this sales growth was happening, Fennec was also making a really smart move behind the scenes. It's a move that basically locked in their position in the market and took a lot of risk off the table for the future.
What they do? They settled a major patent lawsuit. And the result of that is huge. No generic version of PEDMARK can hit the US market until September 2033 at the absolute earliest. That gives them this long, clear runway to make their drug the undisputed standard of care.
And it's not just about market protection. This settlement has an immediate impact on their finances. It frees up, and this is their quote, multiple millions of dollars in legal bills every single year. And that's cash they can now plow right back into actually growing the business. Okay, so you've got a stronger balance sheet, you've got a protected market, so what's next? Well, Fennec is taking all that momentum, all that capital, and they're making some really smart, calculated bets on what's next.
And believe me, they are not thinking small. They're projecting their operating expenses to jump big time, from around $35 million in 2025 to about $50 million in 2026. This is a company that is putting the pedal to the metal.
So where's all that money going? It's aimed squarely at 3 massive opportunities. First, they're going global, with 8 to 10 new launches planned for Europe. Second, they're laser-focused on the adolescent and young adult market, the AYA market, which is, get this, 10 times bigger than the pediatric market they started in.
And third, they're funding new clinical studies with top-tier cancer centers like City of Hope to show that PEDMARK can help even more patients.
So you step back and look at it. After a truly transformational year, Fennec is basically taking all its winnings and putting them right back on the table. They're doubling down. They're investing in the science, in their sales team, in their global reach. And all of this leaves us with the one big question. Is this aggressive strategy going to work? Will it make PEDMARK the new standard of care so that no cancer survivor ever has to make that impossible trade-off between their hearing and their life?